Hello everyone. Welcome back to this game, Everlasting Spooky Summer. So let me try and remember what happened last time. I was in a daze after my dentist appointment. We started the Miku route. We were transported to a alternate reality where we are filming a movie or something. And then we were transported back into the camp in the past. So a lot of transporting and moving through dimensions. Slavia was killed, I think. Yeah, she was hacked to bits or something like that. Lenna was somewhat scary. Miku has no theories about what's going on. Like, no theories at all. She doesn't know what to think right now. What else? A lot of people are missing. Elisa's scared. Olyana's gone. She's missing. The other guy, not or is it Electronic who's missing? I don't know. So, yeah. And then the stream broke, which was very, very nice of it. I'm glad the stream broke. It's fun. I love it when the stream breaks. So, we're gonna continue on. We're gonna have fun. It's gonna be a spooky ride, probably. And, yeah, let's continue. Oh, and Miku's name is Masha, by the way. Her name changed to Masha. Which explains what I named that one thing in World of Final Fantasy. That chest. Yeah. I still have absolutely no theories at all. I no longer know what to think. Me neither. But anyway, all hell is breaking loose here. Even without taking pioneers into account. Murders! Dozens of people disappearing without a trace. That ought to be our top priority now. I look closely at Masha. Wonder how long... Why, I wonder how she can keep such a cool head under these circumstances. Sure, I'm also trying to keep calm, but... That means... What? Let's leave this issue for later. But at least a wild guess? I guess it's somehow connected to the disappearances. It's safe to assume that one, or even two or three, humans couldn't deal with so many people at once. Agreed. It might be that this phenomenon somehow affected them. Might be. Anyway, it's easier to believe in that, for example, that we're in a parallel reality. Wow. Hello, Selene. What's up? How are you today? I hope your day is going marvelous right now. Just as well as Miku's day. Well, actually, Miku's having a pretty miserable time right now. Or something. You know, but now I'm willing to believe in anything. Then let's stick to this theory for now. Okay. Let's go. You go ahead, I'll be back in a minute. It's dangerous to be all alone. Seriously, what's so dangerous? Broad daylight and everyone's around here. Okay. Yeah, it's daylight right now. This is where the stream broke, pretty much. I don't know what happens after this. She gave me a faint smile and headed back to the canteen. But still, her behavior is also quite odd. It looked like the last few days changed everything and everyone. Including Masha. Yesterday, shock, fear, trembling. Today, cold and sensible reasoning. Damn. She's even more self-assured than me. Could it just be a good sleep? No, there is something wrong with her too. Sure, she doesn't think she's a pioneer like everyone else, but still. It seems if something has happened to them, then maybe it also happened to me. No, it can't be. Everything seems to be fine. I've double-checked my body and found no abnormalities. Okay, I have to keep calm and control myself. I got up and was about to return to the canteen when suddenly I heard a tiny voice from behind my back. It was probably Olyana saying, "Hey, guess what? I'm super, found again," or something like that, as if somebody was calling for me. I got down from the porch and took a few steps toward the voice. Someone was peering at me from behind the tree. "Olyana, hi!" Okay. I'm a little freaked out now. It was Olyana. Maybe, is it Olyana? Why's she like that? No, not Olyana, but something that looked like her. Maybe it's friendly. I froze in my tracks. Half of her face was torn and hanging down in shreds. Oh my gosh, I'm scared. Her grinning jaw trembled nervously as if in laughter. a bloodshot eye, hanging half out of its socket, suddenly swiveled its pupil to look at me. I stopped breathing. It felt like I was gonna die right now due to the shock. Semyon! The thing that seemed to be Ulyana was calling for me. My legs began to give out. I tried hard not to collapse, tried to scream, tried to run away. But my consciousness has already left my body and now was just a rag doll, moving by the will of an invisible puppet master. One more second and... Hey! Masha, Miku, whatever your name is, help. I indistinctly turned toward the light, the word, caught sight of Masha standing on the porch and then instantly looked back to Ulyana. But she was gone. Masha seemed to notice the deathly pallor upon my face and jumped over to me in the blink of an eye. Blink? What? What happened? I just saw Ulyana. There. I pointed my fingers toward the tree. Sure, the sight of the butchered Slavia was indeed gruesome, but at least she was dead and not walking around in broad daylight with her face torn apart. And she wasn't calling me by name, even if the name wasn't my own. Also, it was nighttime, for some reason, when we looked at her. Oh gosh, what next? The last ounces of my strength deserted me and I collapsed to my knees. What? Where? Masha was shaking me by the shoulders. It wasn't her. That was... I don't know. Get a hold of yourself. Smack. I felt a round arm slap... What? I felt a round arm slap me in the face. What the heck is this translation? And gave Masha a questioning look. My cheek burned, but I slowly started to regain my composure. Ulyana was there with her face. Basically, it was a zombie. Yeah, zombie Ulyana. That's the most rational explanation I could give. Masha looked at me dumbfounded. Anything can happen here. If you've seen her yourself. Thank God I didn't. Come in, I'll get you some water. Yeah, I'll be fine. I described my encounter with that creature in detail to everyone. I can tell you one thing, science can't explain whatever's going on here at the moment. Science? It's outrageous devilry happening here. The hand of Satan. I wish we had a church nearby to light a candle. Lenna said nothing, resorting to quiet sobbing. I had almost completely recovered and now I was able to think straight. Now it's perfectly clear that we have to get out of here. Well, I'm not a real scientist, let alone a paranormalist, but if I recall correctly, all these demons and spirits are bound to a certain place. Therefore, if we get away from this place, now that's an excellent solution. Masha grinned skeptically. I agree, I explained, ignoring her. Yeah, Lenna gave just a barely noticeable nod. So it's all settled. I slammed my fist on the table, like that, and surged to my feet. Hold on, it's not like we all agreed on that. Why would we hesitate? I seriously wouldn't want a second encounter with a thing like that. Where will we go? Do you even realize how long it will take to reach the city on foot? Damn it, do you really think that nobody ever rides that road? A car, a bus, whatever. We'll get there, we'll get something eventually. I wouldn't be so sure. So you think that it's better to stay here? Well, I didn't say that. It's scary here, especially at night. Lenna whispered quietly. That still doesn't mean we have to go anywhere, said Masha out loud. I gave her a narrow look. No, something has surely changed her. Perhaps I should have a gentle talk with her about it. Or perhaps I shouldn't? Maybe she's also... Okay, let's take a vote. I said that in quite a confident tone, yet I still had my doubts. What if Masha's right? Perhaps we shouldn't be running around aimlessly. What routes you already complete? Hello, Ricky PM. I have completed 2 routes. I have completed Semyon and Ulyana. I am now on the Miku route, as you can probably see here. So we have quite a long way to go with completing this game, but we're gonna do it. We're gonna see all the routes. I don't care what I gotta do. On the other hand, it's really all hell breaking loose here. Okay, she shrugged. And still, I won't stand for another minute here. Leaving, staying, let's try. Maybe we'll indeed get lucky and catch a ride. Leaving. Everyone turned their eyes toward Lenna. I don't want to stay here. It seemed like my decision wasn't going to affect the outcome anyway. So let's get going. Well, I sprang to my feet. Everyone else remained seated with their heads down. like, I don't want to go. Since we decided, Masha got up slowly and looked at me. What about our stuff? Asked Elisa awkwardly. Do you really think we should care now? Mumbled Rooter gloomily. Well, you're probably right. Well, in my case, my stuff had already vanished somewhere. In a few minutes, we were standing at the bus stop. The city is that way. Masha gestured at the horizon. It was there the day before yesterday. I grinned. Eee. Yeah, that way. Rooter confirmed. We paused in silence for a few moments, and then slowly headed off toward our destination. What a lovely day. See, let's just take back. Let's just enjoy the scenery for 2 seconds. Okay, the summer sun was unbearably scorching, making the asphalt melt. Everything a few hundred feet away, the road, the trees, the sky, or the grass, the sky, was melting in a bright heat haze that looked more like a burning fog. I was streaming with sweat and was starting to think that I was getting sunstroke. Sure, it would have been a great idea to bring more water with us, but back when we were setting, only thing we could think of was getting our asses as far as possible from that damn camp. Eventually, I felt like I was about to lose consciousness. Only the wretched trails of the Grasshoppers kept me in touch with reality. Of course, this hellish noon is indeed their favorite part of the day. They couldn't care less about the scorching heat, zero humidity, or the lack of any kind of air movement. On the contrary, they felt great. It was a perfect backdrop for the final act of their last apocalyptic symphony. We probably should have stayed in the camp after all, or at least we should have started this hike later, closer to the evening. Although wandering the unknown country road at night is hardly a good idea either. The sound of a stifled cry came from behind me. 100 feet away, Elisa was barely holding up Lenna, keeping her from collapsing on the ground. I dashed up to them. What's the matter? She's fainted. Uh-oh. Lenna's fainted. I helped to carry Lenna from the roadside. There was at least some shade from a small grove. And that concludes our hike, said Masha in a gloomy mood, sinking down to the grass. Hello, Amhida YouTube YT. Welcome to the stream. How are you? Hope you enjoy yourself here, and I hope you're having a lovely, lovely day. I am on the Miku route, those who don't know. And it's very scary. There was a dead Ulyana zombie thing we just saw a second ago. And surely we'll run into it again. I warned you. Fine, but what does it change now? We'd been traveling for at least a couple of hours, so thinking of heading back to the camp was pointless. Well, at least until the evening, when the heat will decrease a bit. And we still haven't had a single car. I turned around and looked at Rooter. He pulled off his shirt and began to wring the sweat out of it. Yeah, gross. Elisa was trying to revive Lenna. If that's sunstroke... Stop! She shouted at me. If that's indeed sunstroke, we've gotten ourselves in deep trouble. She won't make it anywhere. I walked toward the road, shielded my eyes from the sun with my hand, and stared into the distance. Nothing but the same asphalt thread leading beyond the horizon, with no sign of civilization, or any signs of human presence at all. It was like we were the only people left, not only in the camp, but in the whole world. Though if you think about what has happened before, it's not really a big surprise. I went back to the others and sat down on a log. I guess we have to scout ahead. I looked at Rooter. To check what's ahead, maybe we could find something. And you just stay here for a while. But she can't go anywhere right now anyway. Lenna was lying with her eyes closed and gasping for air. Okay, go ahead, said Masha calmly. It just occurred to me that I'd planned to have a talk with her, but it's definitely not the time for that now. Excuse me. Let's go. Rooter shrugged his shoulders and followed me. We kept walking for about 15 minutes. The girls were left far behind. What do you think? Any chance of us meeting somebody? He asked quietly. I don't know, I replied in an annoyed tone, though it was more like, I don't know. I really wanted to refrain from talking now. The endless fields stretched to the horizon, sparsely sprinkled with patches of trees and hills. The landscape looked so typical and tranquil that, in fact, it caused anxiety. If we found ourselves on the plains of hell, at least we would expect to be attacked from just anywhere, so we could brace ourselves and prepare for the worst. Now we felt like little droplets of paint on the canvas of an nameless painter who paints the summer in central Russia, or wherever we are now. All this only made our fears stronger. "Look!" yelled a rooter. I narrowed my eyes and saw that the road took a turn. "So, what's so special? There must be something there. What makes you think that?" "Well, since there's a turn, we've been walking straight forward all this time, and now..." "Okay, let's go and take a look." Excuse me. In a few minutes, we finally came to the gates of the Savagnac Pioneer Camp. I collapsed down the curb and buried my face in my hands. I didn't feel scared. In fact, I didn't feel any emotions at all. Just the fatigue and the void inside of me. But how?" mumbled Rooter. "No idea. Besides, what's the difference anyway? It's not like this is any stranger than anything else that's happened to me in the last few days." I looked up at him, feeling exhausted. Rooter's lips were trembling. An expression of deathly horror was plastered on his face. "Let's go back and fetch the girls." I didn't wait for him and just shuffled off back to where we left them. "Found anything?" asked Masha, chewing on some strawberries of uncertain origin. "We did. A camp." "What camp?" She looked surprised. "Our camp." "What?" Masha looked so silly now. I couldn't help flashing an ironic smile. "But you were going forward, not backward." "Forward. And Savagnac was there." Savagnac. Yeah, I'm saying it right now. "Hey, stop joking," she explained. "I'm dead serious." "But," said Elisa quietly. She was sitting down on the grass and cradling the head of Lenna, who was still sleeping. "Yeah, just like that," I said tiredly and dropped down on the ground. "Okay, it means we're heading there." I looked at Masha keenly and suddenly realized that I can't wait anymore. "Hey, what's happening with you?" "What do you mean?" Her look screamed that now isn't the time for breezy chatter. "You were scared to death yesterday, yet today you have 'this happened to me all the time' attitude." "But what's the point in panicking?" She cracked a barely visible smile. "If I didn't know you..." I went quiet, but bit my lip and turned away. "But really, do I know her that well?" "Sure, we spent so many years together, but if you get down to it, I always thought more about myself. Or rather, I always believed that she was completely satisfied, and she was always the same to me. The same as just about anything, even when we were breaking up. As if she wasn't a real person, just my favorite article of clothing." Nice. Thinking about it, I have no idea what's going on in her soul. I just never cared about it. Thus her behaving like this under the circumstances don't seem more bizarre than anything else that's happening to us. And if you think about the thing at the bench 2 evenings ago, she probably really is stronger than me. Hey, are you listening to me at all? Oh, sorry, I got carried away. So much has happened. She looked at me sternly. "Let's get going to the camp, or wherever you were, if that's the same old camp." "All right." In fact, it's not like we had any other choice. A few more hours in this scorching heat would only yield more casualties. But we have to carry her along. Yes, just a sec. Let me figure it out. I found 2 fairly long and sturdy sticks in the nearby groove. Coming back, I ordered Rooter to take his shirt off. He tried to object, but soon enough he realized that there was no use in arguing. I took off my shirt as well, and we made a sort of a stretcher, attaching the fabric to the poles. "Will it hold?" Masha gave our device a questioning look, but ultimately gave it a few strong pulls, ensuring its strength, and smiled. "It will, at least until we reach the camp." It was hard to go in this heat, but it was even harder to carry the injured, that is Lenna. Several times I almost fainted and barely caught myself halfway to the ground. Rooter felt even worse. Both Masha and Elisa were swapping places with him every now and then. Still, my pride won't allow me to ask them to carry Lenna even for a minute. Sure, it's silly to act like this under these circumstances, but I couldn't help myself. This is yet another flaw in my personality, along with coldness and attentiveness to the others, even my loved ones, and other less than noble traits. Finally, we somehow made it to the camp gates, and I collapsed to the grass in the shadow of the unknown pioneer statue, completely worn out. "It actually is our camp," Masha lingered on the words. And indeed, it looks the same. We have to carry her to a cabin. Elisa mentioned quietly. Yeah. I got up with a considerable effort and prepared for the last run. Whew. Drink. Drink time. Drink time. So, everyone's thoughts right now. What's everyone's thoughts on this crazy story that's going on? Like, how are we gonna escape? All that kind of stuff. I don't know, guys. But we're gonna try to escape. Maybe more people will get killed, who knows? Who knows what'll happen? The obvious choice was Olga's cabin. Most likely because we managed to come through the last night here without major problems. At least we are still alive. Me and Ruder were sprawled, exhausted on one bed, and the girls were undressing Lenna on the other. Don't look, said Masha sternly. It's not like there's anything worth looking at. I snorted and turned away, giving Ruder a harsh poke in the ribs, making him follow my lead. We're gonna get some water and probably rummage through the canteen, too. It's dangerous to go alone. Take this. Want to come along? She grinned. No thanks. At least take that pipe with you, I said uncertainly. Do you really think it will help? I sighed heavily and closed my eyes. Well, be careful then. The door closed after a second. You asleep? Ruder's whisper reached me, as if one could sleep here. All at once I heard Lenna moan from the other bed. I sat up on my elbows and looked at her. Lenna was tossing and turning under a blanket. Suddenly she opened her eyes and abruptly turned to face me. A devil's grin was frozen on her face, the same one I saw yesterday evening. Hot enough for ya, eh? She burst into laughter. I felt a shiver run down my spine. My ability to speak vanished. You. What? Asked Ruder through his sleep. I turned to him sharply. Look! I waved my hands, pointing at Lenna's bed. What? He got up and looked where I was pointing, first, then back at me. I turned and saw Lenna sleeping peacefully. Didn't you hear it? What? Lenna was awake, and said, Oh, it seems you've got sunstroke, too. He turned toward the wall. But I'm absolutely sure I heard and saw it. Well, it could be true that the heat got to me at last, but it all seems to be exactly like that time, and it wasn't Lenna. At the very least, it's not the Lenna I knew, as if she's possessed by the devil. The devil! Hey, Deus! Welcome to the stream. How are you? Welcome to Spooky Stream. Monkas as well. I agree. Monkas is the right thing to say right now. I laid down and pulled a blanket over my head. I really wanted to sleep, but the realization that I might never wake up again if I fall asleep now was keeping me up and running. I'm not sure how long I spent lying like that, trembling at every rustle, but eventually the door burst open, and steps resounded in the room. I barely peered out from under the blanket and caught a glimpse of Elisa and Masha entering with a bucket of water and some bags. I see you went a bit cuckoo here. Cuckoo! Mickey Root is a bad... Oh boy. It already is. I saw it. I saw Zombie Juliana. And we're going to see her again. Something tells me. Yeah, sorta, I replied with a trembling voice, trying to flash a smile. Like that. Everything's okay? Seems like it. I glanced at Lenna yet again, but she was still sleeping quietly. Maybe it was indeed just my imagination. Sure, given a condition of such extreme emotional stress and physical fatigue, I might be seeing things. I got up with a considerable effort, took a cup from the table, and scooped up some water. So what are we doing next? We'll have to stay here for now. But Olga has called the police, muttered Elisa. Yeah, but everyone disappeared after that. In any case, until Lenna comes her senses, although if I ever happen to see her like that again, I would frankly rather that she doesn't wake up. Creepy, scary-looking Lenna. Elisa lay down on Lenna's bed, and Masha sat down next to me. Get some sleep. She gently stroked the top of my head, Can you really sleep with all this happening? We'll keep guard. You look really tired. I guess she was right. Okay, but just a nap. Wake me up before evening. She didn't say a word. She just smiled instead. Promise. I promise, replied Masha quietly. I closed my eyes and instantly tumbled into a dream. Uh-oh. Don't jump scare. Here they come again. The Grasshoppers. This time it's their king, the huge swamp green monstrosity with really long curved legs, wings that would match the wingspan of a large airliner, and enormous pitch black eyes. He was hanging over me, grinning and spluttering something really loud. Like that. I still didn't understand anything of their language, but judging by the tone, it wasn't anything nice that you would hear on the morning news. I wanted to get away, but he clutched me tightly with his wretched claw. Okay. I could hear my bones cracking, feeling my ribs breaking, piercing my internal organs with their sharp splinters. I felt hundreds of hammers smashing inside my skull. Okay. My vision faded, and the next moment fountains of blood and flesh were spraying all over the place. I jumped up in a cold sweat. My own scream still reverberated in the room. It took me several seconds to clear the dimness from my eyes. I looked around frantically and realized that it was evening already, and it was completely dark outside. Good grief, we didn't turn off the light yesterday. Masha was lying asleep next to me, while Ruder was curled up on the floor. Lenna was lying on the other bed, tightly wrapped in the blanket, yet Elisa was nowhere to be seen. Oh no, Elisa's missing now? Or just not here? Hey! I woke Masha up with a few rough prods. What? She slowly came to her senses. Didn't I ask you? Sorry, I fell asleep. She had such a guilty expression on her face that I felt sick. I shouldn't have relied on her. At least I could have set up an alarm. I woke Ruder up. Where's Elisa? I don't know, said Masha worriedly. Well, who does know? We were all asleep. Well, she was sleeping here, and then... Her eyes darted around guiltily. And then you fell asleep. She hung her head and let out a heavy sigh. Oh, perfect. Just perfect. Whoa, geez. I pounded my fist on the table, making Masha jump. Okay, you sit here and we'll go and find her. Alone? Her face suddenly took on an expression of fright. Alone. Wasn't it you who told me that it's not worth panicking? Yeah, but it's not. Oh, fine, I'll go alone. But... Or do you really want to sit here with only Lenna? Masha kept silent. It's dangerous to go alone. Take this. I noticed that Ruder seemed to have fully awakened, and it's not dangerous for her to sit here all alone. I felt that there was no point in arguing. So I got up, grabbed my trusty pipe, and headed for the door. In any case, given that people have been disappearing into thin air, one can't feel safe anywhere or in any company. Of course, it still could turn out that Elisa was just went somewhere. To the toilet, for example. Although given how frightened she looked, I guess she would have woken up Masha, or just have held it until morning. Damn, anything but going all alone through the camp. I braced myself, pulled the handle, and went outside. Outside was scary as heck. There was... I don't know. I swept my eyes across the landscape, and then... Oh no. I saw Elisa. I'm a little freaked out. Miku is an Elisa fag nightmare. Feels bad. Yeah, I'll say it's bad for Elisa, alright. I saw Elisa hanging high above the ground from the tree right in front of the cabin. The same tree and setting and everything that was in the forest. It's all here now. The sky was red, blood red. The tree was gray. Other trees were red. This scene doesn't make sense in the slightest, but it's sure as hell creepy. A sharp pain pierced my temples and I collapsed to the ground. The horror was so overwhelming that I literally felt my whole body being bound in steel chains. Blinded with fear, I barely managed to crawl back into the cabin and close the door. Yeah, what happened? Nothing. It's fine. Whatever. Masha rushed over to me. Don't look. I grasped her arm. Don't go outside. What's the matter? She reached out for the door handle. I attempted to stop her, but I was so weak that I could only let out a groan of despair. Opening the door, Masha screamed and froze in her tracks. Eek! Like that. Gathering my last ounces of strength, I got up and kicked the door shut. The next moment, Masha fainted and fell back into my arms. I carried her to the bed and put down next to the shaking Rooter. His face told me that he's definitely not interested in knowing what's happened there. All these screams woke Lenna up. She rose slightly in her bed and gave us a glance. "What's happening?" she asked in a whisper. I didn't know how I should reply. I felt a scream rising up in my throat, but I managed to muffle it to a hollow sigh. Lenna was horrified, but she still didn't realize what exactly had happened here. "Don't go outside," I moaned. Unlike Masha, she wasn't one to argue. An oppressive silence ensued. Even the grasshopper seemed to quiet down in order to add suspense to the situation. It was the grasshoppers all along. Masha was still lying on my lap. Rooter was quivering in the corner of the bed, and Lenna was sitting in front of me with an expression of doom and despair on her face. I stared at the door with an unblinking gaze, waiting for the moment it will burst open, and my fear couldn't manifest in any concrete form. A homicidal maniac, a monster, an alien. It was the horror of the unknowable darkness and emptiness. I wasn't afraid that I would be torn to pieces just like Slavia, or I would become a zombie like Golyana. I was afraid to disappear, vanish without a trace from this world. Masha let out a quiet moan. I just had a nightmare. It wasn't a dream. She opened her eyes wide and looked at me with horror. "Then there?" "Don't look," I shouted and hastily embraced her. Lenna started crying loudly, ran up and pressed herself against me, trembling all over. Long minutes dragged on in agonizing silence. "So what are we going to do now?" asked Masha through her tears. She didn't seem so self-confident now. Although we were all in the same situation. Time passed, yet nothing happened. We had to make a decision. I couldn't say that I came back to my senses after what I saw, but I still felt my mind clearing up a bit. I knew one thing for certain. We can't stay here. And it wasn't because it was more dangerous here than anywhere else. It's just because I can't endure staying near the corpse of Elisa. I bet it's even more of a gut-wrenching experience for the girls. "We have to go," I said quietly. I felt Masha and Lenna hugging me even tighter. "We have to..." Rooter stopped shaking and left the bed. "How are you feeling?" I asked Lenna. She said nothing. "Can you walk?" "Probably." I gently escaped their embrace and got up. "We have to run. At night it will be easier to go." "But we..." Masha tried to make a humble objection. "Yeah, I know that we decided to stay, but now we have to get out of here." I turned to Rooter. "You do realize that they shouldn't see all that?" He gave a barely visible nod. Although Rooter didn't know what happened to Elisa, it was obvious that his vivid imagination had conjured up so many gruesome theories during this time that he was probably even more depressed than me. "Okay, we're gonna hold hands and go. I'll go first and lead the way. Masha goes next, and Lenna, then you." I looked at the girls. They were sitting with their heads hanging down, sobbing quietly. "Ready?" Nobody replied. This was obviously a useless question. One can never be ready for such a situation. I took Masha's hand, turned around and gave Lenna and Rooter a serious look. "Okay, now shut your eyes and don't open them, no matter what. You got that?" "Yeah." Lenna nodded. I steeled myself, burst open the door, and went out holding Masha's hand. "Watch out for the steps." When we made our way outside, I darted a final glance at Elisa. What I saw now didn't send me spiraling on the ground. Although my heart was racing dramatically, I was feeling sick and dizzy, and my stomach turned. She was hanging about 5 meters above the ground. Several neckerchiefs tied together in a string were tightened around her throat. Bulging eyes, protruding tongue, putrefactions already at work on the body. It looked like she didn't die a couple of hours ago, but at least a couple of days. An expression of agony and inhuman suffering that was permanently frozen on her face. It was clear that she couldn't have done such a thing to herself. My God, who came up with all this? Maybe we are in hell. I hastened my steps away from the diabolical scene, dragging the others along. I ordered them to open their eyes only when we reached the square. She's still there? Asked Masha, not letting go of my hand. I just nodded. Who, Elisa? Lenna cried out loud and burst into tears. Masha embraced her and tried to comfort her. What happened to her? Muttered Rooter with a fatigued tongue. I bet you don't want to know that. For a while, I just stood there and looked at the moon. Lenna was sobbing, Rooter was pacing in circles around us, and Masha sat down on the bench and buried her face in her hands. Okay, it's time, I said quietly, yet nobody moved. We can't stay here. I walked to Masha, leaned over and took her hand. She raised her eyes, filled with tears at me, and nodded. We slowly proceeded to the bus stop. Night has fallen on the camp. Along the way, I noticed that the Grasshoppers were almost quiet. Keeping silent for some time, now they resumed their nasty song, but this time it was much quieter and, I might say, a little bit more respectful. Their daytime progressive noise changed to a nocturne for violin and orchestra. Is there any chance that they're conscious about what's going on here? Of course, if we assume that they are grasshoppers in hell too. There are grasshoppers. We came to the bus and stopped, hesitating. So where are we going? Asked Masha, wiping her tears. Okay, we already tried going to the right. Let's go to the left. But there's no town there. And just a couple of days ago, there was no camp to the right. Maybe we shouldn't, Lenna sobbed quietly. We have no choice. I won't stay here any longer. We were just about to get moving when we heard noises approaching us from far away. I strained my eyes and caught a glimpse of someone coming here down the road. A bus! Exclaimed Rhoda with joy in his voice. Shut up, you fool. That's not a bus. People are approaching. I hissed at them. Lots of people, said Masha anxiously. It was utterly clear that we couldn't stay here any longer. I turned around and saw someone approaching us down... What's that noise? That's scary. The noise was getting louder. The chirping of grasshoppers, although not their usual one. A much louder, distorted version, as if it had been passed through a guitar amplifier. Run! I shouted, but nobody moved. Oh, screw it. I grabbed Masha's and Lenna's hands and darted off back into the camp. Oh, not this music again. The girls were floundering in a stupor, so I ended up literally dragging them along. Having dashed to the square, I stopped to catch some breath, and only then did I realize that Rooter had been left behind. Whoops. We have to go back to get him, Masha screamed and shifted toward the bus stop. Are you nuts? I pulled her hand and forced her to stop. You want us all to meet the same fate? Lenna was trembling so wildly that I felt my right hand shaking as it held hers. Keep running. Where to? Don't know, into the woods. Returning to Olga's cabin wasn't an option. My self-preservation instinct also suggested that we shouldn't stay in the open area as well. We dashed toward the woods. This is a bad idea, guys. What do you think? Bad idea? I think it's a bad idea. I held girls' hands tightly. They ran with difficulty, especially Lenna, who was swaying and weaving. She fell a few times, but I quickly picked her up, spurring her on with shouts, and dragged her on. Give me 2 seconds, guys. Don't get sick or anything by the moving. Okay. Alright, we're still good, guys. We're still good. Oh boy, passing through the trees was the hardest part. Though the full moon was shining up in the sky, in the dark I was constantly running into snags, branches falling into pits. Nettles were slashing my legs and leaves were hitting me in the face, leaving painful scratches. My heart was pounding heavily. Every breath I took whistled painfully in my lungs. The blood was pounding so heavily in my head that it seemed like my skull was ready to burst from the pressure at any moment. I stopped feeling my body. My legs carried me forward by themselves. Quick check. Let me do one more thing really quick. At last we ran out into a clearing and stopped. Exhausted, the girls fell to the ground, and I sat on a fallen tree. Who were they? People or demons? Or something else? And where was that chirping sound coming from? I couldn't make them out in the twilight. that was probably for the best. Oh, this music is very intense. After I slightly recovered my senses, I walked up to the girls. Lenna was lying dead white on the ground. Seems like she'd completely lost it. Masha was sitting, hugging her knees and rocking from side to side. "We've got to do something," I said as I sat near her. "It's too late. We're gonna die," she whispered in a hollow voice. "We're still alive. That means there's still hope. No, there's nothing now. It's all over." I put my arms around her and held her tight. "No, it's not." "Yeah, chill out." "It's fine." I sat, staring into the darkness of the forest. The grasshoppers could barely be heard now. If not for Masha's labored breathing, I would think I was dead. "Forgive me," she whispered quietly. "For what? For everything. For me being like that. For whatever we failed to achieve. It's not the right time for that now." "Are there owls?" "Owls are nice," I said tenderly. "We don't have much time left, so I'd say it's the right time." She looked up at me and faintly smiled. "Forgive me. If only I had been so selfish in the first place." I looked into her eyes, into her bottomless, sorrowful eyes. I felt a hot tear crossing my cheek. "No, it's me who should be sorry." I was totally ignorant of what to say in such a situation. I did so much wrong to her, causing her so much pain, and now, at the last minute, I can't think of anything other than an empty "I'm sorry." I was overwhelmed with anger at my helplessness, at being unable to protect the only person I held dear. "You know, I always loved you." "I know," she said quietly. Masha smiled again, although her face was trembling and tears were running down her cheeks. "And I still love you." "I know." I couldn't stand it. I longed to turn away, to close my eyes, but I can't afford weakness at this last minute. I leaned down and kissed her hard. Time stood still for us. This cursed pioneer camp, the dark night, all those hell spawn, and even the bloody grasshoppers just ceased to exist. The whole universe ceased to exist. Just the two of us were left. And Lenna, probably. Just when I was almost willing to believe that it was all just a bad dream, the woods came alive with rustling. The foliage far away quivered, and a swarm of vague silhouettes emerged from the darkness. I still couldn't make them out, but I was certain that they are the same creatures that we'd seen at the bus stop. My whole body was stricken with dismay. I was afraid to breathe. Who's here at the moment, by the way? If anyone's here, show of hands. Oh my gosh, that scared. The ever-loving, thank you very much, Crystallup. Crystallup, welcome to the stream. How are you? Thank you so much for the follow. And thank you for spooking me at this very spooky moment. That was good. That was a good time. Lenna want kill a Masha. No. Oh, Lenna? Lenna wants to kill Masha? Lenna, how could you? Oh, boy. I'm ready, guys. Spoilers, Riki PM. It's fine, don't worry. Said Masha quietly and held me tighter. No, this is not the end. Suddenly, I realized that I will fight for her until the last drop of my blood. As long as there is a slight chance of survival. I jumped up, tugged her off the ground, and rushed over to Lenna. She's happy. She doesn't want to kill anyone. She's happy now. She was lying deathly pale with her eyes open, and she didn't seem to understand what was happening at all. I started shaking her by the shoulders. Get up. There was no reaction. I gave her a few slaps, and she let out a dull moan. Kind of like that. Get up, now. As I roused Lenna, she stared at me with a spaced-out look. Let's run! I grabbed the girls by their hands and rushed aimlessly. The further from them, the better. Shaking camera. I was tumbling down, getting up again, helping Lenna and Masha to get up too, hewing through the dense foliage. Eventually the noise faded, and leaving us with only the quiet chirping of grasshoppers. The light flickered in the distance. Hey, here we are. This place wasn't creepy enough, guys. This wasn't... Oh, man. The story wasn't creepy enough yet. Soon enough, we came out into a small clearing, completely sheltered by the trees. There was a building that somehow looked like a kindergarten. What is that? I stammered. The building of the old camp. Yeah, we were here earlier. I was alone, though. said Lenna faintly. It seems that she was slowly coming back to her senses. I stopped, hesitating. Sure, it was quite naive to think that we can find shelter there. It was obvious that we can't be secure anywhere with all the stuff that's happening. On the other hand, we were on the verge of collapsing, especially the girls. I took a few hesitant steps toward the building. When the rustling from behind reached my ears, I froze in my tracks, unable to turn around. The rustling was growing louder. I don't like this noise. And suddenly we heard the diabolical chirping. Oh my gosh! Hi, Olyanas. Hello. I forced myself with a superhuman effort and turned around. A crowd was behind me. A crowd of little girls! Woo! Or rather, a crowd of Olyanas. They were all exactly the same as that Olyana that I saw this morning, with the same torn face and the horribly distorted smile. Well, I don't know. One has blood coming out of her mouth, one has an eyeball being loose, one has a red eye. And all of them made the same hellish sound, the chirping of grasshoppers, a diabolical noise that chilled my heart. We froze where we stood, unable to take even a single step away. Dead. All of a sudden, one of the Olyanas came forward from the crowd and pulled the severed head of Rooter from behind her back. Well, that's what happens when you stay behind, you idiot. A grimace of horror was permanently frozen on his face. I almost fainted as she started to talk.
Hi there, Simeon. How are you doing?
Her voice felt like a bullet piercing right through my brain. I screamed and fled toward the old camp building, dragging the girls along. Okay. Any more? Any more stuff? I must admit that back then I'd completely stopped thinking of Masha and Lenna, or Lenna. Maybe they were also screaming. Maybe they were shackled by horror. I do not know. The most important thing now is to get as far away as possible from these monsters. Yep, go inside. Go inside, get stuck. It's fine. We flew into the building, and immediately the ground disappeared under our feet, and I fell into the darkness. I awoke in complete darkness. My whole body ached, especially my legs. But somehow I still managed to get up, leaning against the wall. The sound of the Olyanas was nowhere to be heard, which calmed me down a little. I called out in a thin voice, "Masha, Lenna." I heard a movement nearby and felt someone gripping my leg. I instinctively jumped back, but at the same moment a faint voice came from below. "Are we still alive?" "Seems like it." I helped Masha get up. Oh yeah, I love darkness. Suddenly, a bright light fired up a couple of meters away from me. I leaned against the wall, trembling, but immediately realized that it was Lenna, who had turned on a flashlight. Where did that come from? Where did you get that? Lenna came closer, limping. "I took it just in case. Yesterday." I took the flashlight from her and shone it around. We were in some kind of tunnel. The walls were lined with wires. Unlit lamps were hanging from the ceiling. Where are we? I don't know. Looks like some kind of bomb shelter. I looked up and saw a pretty formidable hole, beyond which one could barely make out the halfway of the old camp building. The floor had probably rotted with age, and we fell down here. At first glance, there was no way to climb back. Too high, and there is nothing to grab. So, what is there? Go further? I asked, not really expecting an answer. I don't know, but we'll have to check. I shone the flashlight ahead of us and took a few uncertain steps. My whole body was covered in bruises and scratches, but I could still walk. "Ouch!" Lenna cried out behind me. "What is it?" "I think I sprained my ankle." I was honestly expecting the next line to be something cliched like, "Leave me behind, I'll only be a burden." But of course she could never say that. "Okay, lean on me." I went over to Lena and offered her my shoulder. I'm super scared, guys. Someone hold me." Soon enough, the stone walls gave way to wooden ones, and we ended up in some sort of mine. "Let's have a break," Masha begged. I carefully lowered Lenna to the ground and sat down nearby. Well, at least those monsters are nowhere to be seen. But for how long? I sighed heavily and closed my eyes. What do you think is going on here? Masha's voice was trembling, but she still sounded more or less confident. Looks like she's so exhausted and devastated that there's just no strength left for fear. I don't know, and honestly, I don't want to know. But we're gonna get out? Definitely. I couldn't see her face, but I was sure that she's smiling. Suddenly, the flashlight blinked and went out. Yay! We're in the darkness. Woo! We're gonna die. Woohoo! I hit it with my palm several times. The mine's walls lit up with a dim light once again, and I immediately realized that something was wrong. Lenna was nowhere to be found. Lenna's disappeared, I whispered. What? Masha grabbed me by the sleeve and started at the spot where Lenna had been sitting a moment ago. How? But how? She started to cry quietly. We will die. We will definitely die. I also very much wanted to burst into tears. Darkness surrounded us all around, closing in. The flashlight was gradually dying, and with it our chances of survival. Get up. Time to go. The battery will die soon. Oh god, here we go. A couple of minutes later we came to a fork. What the hell? Is this some kind of labyrinth too? I hissed under my breath. If we have to choose a right direction, I want to do it right. So, save. Done. Back. Let's go back, maybe? No way. Masha pressed against me even harder. Where to, then? I don't know, but we had to choose anyway, and I decided to go right. Soon we came to another fork. Where to now? Let's stick to the direction we chose before. Because, as we know, guys, the right way is the right way. Got that? We had been wandering for too long. We had neither strength nor will left to move on. I was so terribly thirsty that I went to lick the moisture from off the walls. Let's sit. Just a little. A bit. We can't. We must keep going. But just a minute. Masha begged in anguish. Fine. She lowered her head onto my shoulders. Yeah, the flashlight was blinking more and more often, so I decided to turn it off for now, to save the battery. This is it. This is all it. I don't know how much time passed. I desperately wanted to sleep. My eyes were closing by themselves. How did we first meet? That was so long way ago. Do you remember? I asked in a whisper. What? Masha's voice was trembling. How we met? Yes. I remember. It was lovely. It was at a rock concert. You were a Vocaloid, or something like that. She tried to laugh, but immediately began to cough. I will sleep for a while, okay? Just for a while, or you will sleep through the whole day again. Well, but will you wake me up? Of course. I kissed her and closed my eyes. Oblivion was getting closer, but I didn't care. I was transported back in time to that very day. What next? Don't jump scare. Don't do it. My whole body was aching. Perhaps my brain couldn't rest peacefully because it was distracted by thousands of signals from my nerve endings. Somehow I rose and woke up Masha. After all, we were planning to survive. How long have I been in this mine? Fork after fork, tunnel after tunnel. Masha was whispering something all the time. To the left, to the right, to the left, to the right. It seems that I won't be able to handle even one more turn. Hey, look at this. This is nice. But suddenly the flashlights highlighted a tight passage in the darkness, and soon we found ourselves in an open chamber. Look! Masha was pointing somewhere into the darkness. I flashed the light there and saw a neckerchief lying on the floor ground. This is not... No, let's go. It's not. It's fine. At last we got out of the labyrinth and found ourselves in a small room. There were broken bottles all over the floor, pipes stretched along the walls, and at the end of them were rustled valves, a mess of graffiti that was scrawled all over the walls. At least it's a change of scenery. I sighed. The flashlight had almost died, and I had to shake it up every 10 seconds to slightly recover the battery. Exhausted, Masha dropped to the floor. We can't stop. I'm sure there is an exit somewhere. Here. How do you know? I looked at her. She obviously had no energy anymore. Masha was struggling with her exhaustion and could lose consciousness any second. I just know it. I smiled, trying to look encouraging. Eee. Well, if so, she leaned against the wall and stood up hardly. Sit here for now. I will see what is further on. I'm afraid. Masha trembled. I'm not going far. She raised her eyes to me, full of hope, and nodded almost imperceptibly. That's a new word. No, it was a creepy door. Creepy door. I looked around and noticed a heavy iron door. My attempts to open it came to nothing. It was completely rusted shut. I wish that pipe was here now. But there was no other choice. I braced my leg on the wall and threw all my weight against the handle. My muscles bulged, my forehead was awash with sweat. My vision darkened. But the door didn't budge, just gave off a hollow rattle. It's alright, wait a second. I shouted over to Masha, gasping for breath. I need to find some kind of stick. Some kind of a stick, guys, alright? A stick. I ran over to Masha, bent down and smiled. There is definitely an exit behind this door. Huh? She looked at me warily. I ran out of the room and began to scour the mine and search for something suitable. The flashlight was about to die, and having blinked its last, it finally went out. I panicked and began to blunder around, trying to find the way back. However, I kept running into walls, and I couldn't remember at all how I got here. Masha! Masha! I screamed, hoping that she would hear me. Suddenly, a sound came out from behind me. A light appeared, and my shadow appeared on the ground, stretching far off into the darkness. I was rooted to the spot by fear. It's a friend. It's all right. It's Lenna. I heard a seemingly familiar voice. What's wrong, Semyon? Got lost? Yep, more scares. Give me a minute, guys. That's scary. That's a scary Lenna. I slowly turned around and saw Lenna holding a flaming torch in her hand. Hey, what's with the demon face? Her face was disfigured by an inhuman grin. I have come for you. This was the same Lenna that I saw at the square last evening. The same as in Olga's cabin. This was Lenna, and at the same time not Lenna. This creature was more like those Ulyanas. I am coming for you. You, who are you? I squeezed out. It's Lenna. Don't you recognize me? She burst into devilish laughter. You completely forgot about me while having fun with them. Words stuck in my throat. It's alright. There is nobody left now. Just the two of us. So you did everything? Bingo. Not everything, of course. For a second, her face became guilty, but then she grinned again. Slavia was first. She was always so annoying. She was Miss Reliability. Diligent, hardworking, always everywhere, agreeing with everyone. Yuck, boy, did she scream when I was tearing off her arms, huh? It's a pity you didn't get to see it all. Her mouth began to tremble. Her saliva dripped out of it, and her eyes rolled up. And then Elisa. Everybody is annoying me. I don't need anyone. Now she's hanging peacefully alone on a tree. However, it wasn't easy to lift her up there, but it had a much greater effect. How you all screamed, huh? Like pigs in a slaughterhouse. Lenna's face was twisted by a grin of sick pleasure. Alright, just that bitch Miku left to deal with, and then it's over. Cleaver. She produced a giant cleaver covered with blood from behind her back. Well, actually, it seemed to me that she was lost in thought. I don't know what that crap in the form of Ilyana's was. Her and the other pioneers weren't killed by me, but it doesn't really matter now. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't know about the Ilyanas. She took the torch and it flared out in a second. Wait here, I will be quick. Her devilish laughter came from behind me. That means she went after Masha. I must do something quickly, but I have absolutely no idea which way to run. The darkness completely disoriented me. Screw it! I ran the way I assumed Lenna went. After only a short way, I painfully smashed into a wall. I turned around, trying to move slowly, but I stumbled over another obstacle, fell down and screamed in pain. Trying to rise, I realized that I couldn't put any weight on my left leg. Seems like I twisted it. Whoops! I tried to crawl, but it worked out badly. The whole mine floor was covered with sharp stones, rusty rails, and broken boards. After only a short ways away, my arms were torn to bleeding pieces of meat, and my eyes couldn't be opened because of the dust and sand. I fumbled in my pockets and pulled out a matchbox. I tried to light a match with my shaking hands, but couldn't get them to light. Calm down. Calm down, I muttered. Yeah, I don't really want to calm down right now. At last, after the 5th try, the mine was lightened by a dim light. I quickly oriented myself and worked out which way I had to run. It seemed to me that only a few seconds passed before I found myself in the room where I left Masha. Don't be creepy. The last match went out, but I just had enough time to see Lenna raising her cleaver above Masha. I rushed toward them, screaming, and dived forward. My hand suddenly collided with something. I fell to the ground and began smashing everything around me. Most of my punches didn't hit the mark, but then my hands met something soft. I heard a moan and dead silence set in. I rolled onto my back and started breathing heavily, inhaled the dry air greedily. Masha? I called. I heard quiet sobs. Are you still alive? Yes, she whispered. Did she get you? No. I began to fumble in the darkness and soon found the torch and a lighter. Shapeless shadows began to dance on the walls, and I saw Lenna's body sprawled on the floor. She seemed to be alive. I was going to finish her. Don't! Masha crawled right over to me and grabbed my leg. But we can't just... You don't need to. Of course, Lenna wasn't to blame for everything, but she's the devil incarnate. There's no way we can let a human like her, if she can still be called a human, live. But when I looked at Masha, I realized that I can't. I just can't. I took up the cleaver from the floor, twisted it in my hand. I decided that it would make for a perfect crowbar. Going over to the door, I jammed it into the wheel and pulled it on. I pulled on it as hard as I could. The door creaked and opened. Fresh air streamed into the room. We're saved! I returned to Masha, helped her to get up, and we left the room, leaving Lenna lying unconscious. We're safe. Kind of, but not really. We're safe! Beyond the door, there was a short corridor with a ladder at the end of it, which led up to a grating. I climbed up and pulled on it with all my strength. The grating fell down with a crash, and we climbed out. I fell to the grass, exhausted, and looked around. Again this square, again this camp. The bright red dawn was breaking in the east, burning the tops of a distant forest. The last stars winked at me, unaware of everything that had happened here, in this hell. Masha rested her head on my shoulder and pointed up to the sky with a trembling hand. I wish we were there. Though we got out of the dungeon, nothing is over. A crowd of zombie Ilyanas are wandering through the camp. An insane Lenna is lying underneath, and heaven knows how much more devilry we will encounter here. I really want to sleep. I didn't know how to answer her, because I don't know where to run, don't know where we can be safe, don't know how to return to our world. Sleep. I patted Masha's head. Listen, this would make a great script for a film. She laughed out loud. I looked at her in horror. Masha was smiling, but her smile wasn't diabolical like the one of Lenna's. It was pure, honest, maybe even childish. All her exhaustion had gone away, and her eyes were shining with a cheerful spark. What had happened to you? I could hardly speak. Everything is fine. She lay down on my shoulder again. That was the last scene. What? Suddenly I felt my strength leaving me. My vision darkened. My consciousness began to float away somewhere. I was lying in silence, and only the sound of Masha's breath could be heard. Not the grasshoppers chirping, like all of them had died at last, but only Masha's steady breathing, and her smile. Happy smile? Happy? Happy smile? There's the music. I struggled to open my eyes. Bright moonlight reflected on the water. Wait. Do you feel that, guys? I feel relieved now. Ah. Where was I? Oh yeah. Bright moonlight reflected on the water, cheerfully skipping on the waves. A light night breeze was blowing, and somewhere far away an owl was hooting. Hoot hoot! I looked at Masha, who peacefully slept nearby, covered by my shirt. What a dream! It was a dream! My mobile phone dimly showed the time. 3 a.m. Better go to bed, or tomorrow Olga will make us. I've just decided to wake Masha up, but I suddenly noticed an opening script and a pen next to her. I quickly went through several pages and was horrified. It was completely identical to what happened in my dream. Bile rose in my throat and my eyes darkened. Masha rolled over, opened her eyes, and looked at me. You awake? Did you write this? I asked, thick-tongued. Yes, what's wrong? I didn't know how to answer. I just couldn't understand what was going on. You were sleeping so cutely that I didn't want to wake you, and the grasshoppers were chirping so loudly, so I... She smiled. Wait, but we are here now? I mean, we're not pioneers, we are filming here, and all that kind of stuff, aren't we? Yes, of course we are. Masha looked at me uncomprehendingly. Maybe I woke up, read what she wrote, and then finally fell asleep again? You're drenched with sweat. She fumbled in the pockets of the pioneer uniform lying next to her and gave me a handkerchief. A typical Russian handkerchief, embroidered with colorful flowers. I took it and suddenly felt a surge of warmth, the same warmth you feel when someone dear to your heart. Dear? Okay, it's normal, dear. Dear to your heart gives you a present. Shall we go? Masha started getting dressed. Yes, let's go. I barely stood up and went down to the river. Cold water revived me, and that dream stopped seeming so real. After all, it was just a dream, wasn't it? On our way back, Masha held my hand and chatted about everything non-stop. We came to the square. I hope those creatures will let me sleep at least tonight, she said thoughtfully. Who? The grasshoppers. Ah, yes, that'd be great. Well, I'll go. She looked at me keenly, turned around and was about to leave. Wait! I grabbed her hand, pulled her toward me, and kissed her hard. Because sometimes a dream is just a dream, and reality is reality. Oh, wow. Is that it? All of that was a dream, guys. Good freaking Lord. What is this? I don't even exactly. Every story has its beginning and its end. Every story has its own outline. Yeah, we saw this already. No book, if you read it again, details. Every story has its beginning and its end. Almost every. Good Lord. Well, there we go. That's Miku's ending. Oh, man. I don't know if anyone's here to... Gosh darn it. I don't know if anyone's here that saw that. But, whew, what a freaking ending that was, huh? Alright. Who's left? Sylvia? I forgot her name already. Slavia, Elisa, Lenna, and then another person. Oh boy. It wasn't quite Doki Doki, but it was pretty scary. Whew. Nice, though. Nice images. Thank you, and goodbye for now. And we'll do more. I'm gonna do more right now. We're gonna go in order. We obviously can't do Ulyana's ending anymore, but we'll do Slavia's next. And then we'll do whoever's after Slavia. Then we'll do whatever after that one. And... oh boy, any more scares after this one? I don't know. So then, now that's a new image, like another more scary images. Let's see, where are they? Where's the scary images? Yep, there they are. There they are. Oh my god! Oh god, that's a lot of them! Oh god, that's a scary head. Oh god, that's scary, Lenna. Good god, no more. No more, please. Alright, it is time. Let me get my little guide out. If I'm doing Slavia's ending, I'm gonna do it right, guys. I'm not messing up. We're just gonna do it, alright? Time to begin. Wait, let's check out the owl. Oyana, good, bad, Miku. There's 2 endings here, too. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more endings to go. Cool. Let's do it. So, this time, well, we're gonna skip through all this. Ready? Go! I'll come with you. Why not? Oh, every time it's so hard to decide on the answer. Fast forward. We are in the camp. Beep boop beep boop boop boop. Meet Slavia. Yeah. Alright then, welcome. Did we see this already though? I'm not rereading dialogue, guys. I'm sorry. I'm not. I will be avoiding all other endings. Run after him. Run away from Elisa. Yes. Sorry. Goodbye. Do not attempt to take Cutlet. We'll do take the keys this time. It doesn't really matter. And then here, we keep silent. Yeah, very nice. Nice book. Yep. Very cool. So this day, what you gotta do is we're gonna avoid the dinner with Ilyana. We're gonna go, I guess, the library first. Doesn't really matter here. Fast forward. Then we'll go music club. Well, to be safe, we'll go clubhouses. We'll meet the 2 guys, the 2 boys, and then we'll just visit everyone now. Infirmary. We'll meet the hot lady. I mean the lovely nurse. Fast forward. Go get cards with Slavia. Yes. If you don't mind. Oh, sure, let's go. So this is new, guys. We headed toward my cabin. Hang on, guys. Hang on. No one's here right now, so I can do this at my own, just at my own speed right now. Is there anyone here? Show of hands, who's here? If you wanna lurk, though, that's okay. We headed toward my cabin. Oh, roughly halfway there, Slavia stopped. Yeah, you were killed the last playthrough, so just stay alive this time, okay? Hey, I just remembered, the cards are in my cabin. Good timing. And where's that? It's just down this road. Let's go. We reached the cabin that, in fact, looked more like a trailer. Just wait here a minute, I'll be back. It took her a few seconds to come back. There. She showed me a deck of pretty worn out cards. These must be marked in and out. That's unsportsmanlike. What happened to fair play? Tell me about it. It's hard to cheat when you don't know the rules. Shall we go? Let's go. Oh boy. On our way back, I decided to try and find out about something. How long have you been here? In this camp? About a week. I see, and where did you come from? I'm from the north. That is the cold north. She looked at me and smiled. Looks like nobody in this camp is inclined to answer even the most innocent of questions. I tried to approach her from another angle. And what do you like? What do you mean? Well, your hobbies. Oh, I like nature. Strange, she's not very talkative today for some reason. Nature, I see. I want to become a natural historian? More like a normal historian. I was always interested in our nation's history. That would suit her well indeed. It appeared that among all the locals, she was the only one who had nothing to hide. What if she came here just like me and simply could not trust anyone? Enough to tell. I tried testing the waters, and why did you choose this camp? I didn't. My parents got a voucher for me from their work. Another failure. Well, if you could choose, it's nice here. I don't think I would choose some other place if I could. Here it's like you are becoming another person. That wasn't how I saw it. What do you mean, another person? It's just that there's so many possibilities. You can learn so much. Meet so many new interesting people here. Now she's started to sound like our chief, which raised a red flag for me. I decided to start with the questions for now. Can we skip ahead? Let me save it. We're gonna make a new save file, by the way. This is the Ulyana. This'll be for Elisa. This is the Semyon route, and that's the Miku route. This will be for Slavia. This will be for Lenna, and that'll be for the last person. Unless there's another slot I'm forgetting. Save. Done. Back. I just remembered that the cards were at your place. It's okay, we got it. Good. Slavia and Olga went inside. Fast. Alright, let me go back to my guide. Bet with Elisa again. No. No. So now I gotta actually beat Ulyana this time. Well, shoot. Play the tutorial. Or no, skip the tutorial. Play the tournament. Alright. I still don't know how to play this game, so, you know. Don't laugh at me. Ha ha ha. That'll show you. And I'm gonna take this one. No, I'm gonna take that one. Yeah, I'm gonna take that one. Yay, I won! No, I didn't. Wait, I have a 3 here. Switch these two, switch these two. Good job. I'm gonna take that one. No, I want that one. No, I want that one. 2! Oh my gosh, this is hard. What's this? Oops. Draw a card. Take this one, I guess. That one. That one. Yay, I won, somehow. I won! Seriously, it's hard to play the game that was made up on the spot, not by yourself. I won! Moment of glory. It was Lenna who was the loser. I'm gonna save the game again, because that's one annoying hurdle out of the way. Go! Oh, what did she just show? How do I beat her? How exactly do I beat this kid? I won! No. 5 again. Fail. Cool game. Oh, no. Stop. No. Come on. Load. Day 2 load. Maybe I should learn how to play this game, huh? King, 7, Jack, Queen. 4. Take that one. Now I won, see? Because Jack, Queen, King, 5. 5 doesn't matter. And I won. Yay! I don't even know how I won, but I won.
Hey, this isn't fair.
I'm saving it, you little demon child. I'm a little scared of you after the last route. I can lose. I can lose to Elisa now. Back.
This isn't fair. You should have held back and lost.
She angrily puffed up her cheeks, making her reasonably resemble Humpty Dumpty.
Let's have a rematch, but this time you have to hold back. Got it?
It wasn't only me who heard her, but the entire room. Even electronic. No rematches allowed. Eliana completely ignored him.
You have to lose.
I don't have the slightest intention of playing with you for a second time, I said calmly.
Fine, you want it that way? I'll just come at you like a zombie soon.
What are you talking about? Yes, that way.
Then I'll put the word out that you've sexually harassed Elisa,
she whispered. What? I leaned over the table and gave her a menacing glare. So you've been eavesdropping?
I just heard it while passing by. Anyway, it's much better to play an extra round than...
She can certainly do that. I sighed and appealed to electronic. Yeah, not a problem. We'll have a quick rematch. Whatever. He shrugged. So the rematch has started. Wait, a rematch with her? No. No. No, Slavia, though. You... Mug. You mug. There we go. There's a creepy Lenna picture. $10. Oh, look at that. It's cute. Isn't that cute or what? I won. JK. No, I didn't. Here, you can have that one. I don't really care. Lots of... Oh, I won. Yay! I won. I won for reals this time. Easy peasy, I said and reclined on my seat.
That's not fair.
I hope she won't demand another rematch. How come? I chuckled.
Okay,
said Eliana aggrievedly and got up from the table. I studied the tournament scheme closely, trying to understand who's going to be my final rival. At the same moment, Elisa took place at my table. I pulled a dumb, feigned smile. Like I'm afraid of her. Congratulations. You'll regret that you wimped out. I'm already regretting it. Let me just do a little... one more save right there. Saving a lot here. But now that I wimped out, I'm regretting that I took part in this foolish game in the first place. Okay, let's roll. So... lose against Elisa, so I'm going to lose on purpose. I don't even know what to take. Here, yeah, take that one. What if I win on, like, accidentally? Can I just not do anything? Look at this picture. This is a scary... whoever this is. You can have 3, I guess. Here, take a 9, because then I'll lose. Yay! Isn't this fun, guys? Don't you love card games? There we go. I'll take that one. No, don't get... Hey, see that? Well, maybe she wants me to take this one, then I can lose faster. Aw, what a shame. What a crying shame. I lost to Bebe, and that's the most unfortunate one. One can only guess what she will get up to tomorrow. She could embarrass me at the lineup, if I don't oversleep, of course, and she could complain to Olga Demir. She could just start rumors about the camp. The worst thing is that everyone will believe her, not me. I wasn't even sure why, but I was 100% sure about it. I left the canteen. It was still too early to sleep and... follow bus stop. Now we go to the bus stop, guys. Right? Bus stop. It definitely says bus stop. The events of the past day kept flashing brightly in my head. That damn useless checklist, the stupid tournament. Right now I don't want to do a single thing or talk to anyone. I don't even want to start thinking about my current situation. I came to the square and took a seat on the bench while staring at the Genda statue. I don't know how long I was sitting like this, but finally crickets chirping brought me back to reality. I got up and blindly walked in a random direction. That was the bus stop. The bus stop. Somehow, for the second day in a row, I find myself at this place. Maybe subconsciously I felt that the bus will be waiting for me here to take me back to the real world? Very unlikely. On the other hand, why not? It got dark already. I was just standing there and gazing at the night sky. Astronomy has never attracted so much as astronautics. It always has been more interesting to look at the pictures of far constellations, nebula and galaxies made by artists than try to figure out how to measure angular velocities and masses of stars. But certainly, I would be able to find the Great Bear constellation. But if I get lost in snow forests, my only way to find the way out would be that little knowledge about moss growing on the north side of a tree. However, I still don't think that would help me to get out. I was about to head back to the camp when all of a sudden I got a noise behind the gate. Who was it this time? Oh, this is kind of scary. Near the clubhouse, it seemed like somebody was walking down the path to the forest. It was so dark that I could see nothing but a blurred shadow. I wondered who could be out so late at night. A pioneer breaching discipline? Tisk tisk. I followed the mysterious shadow rapidly, but still carefully. I was moving from path to path, and after a while I found myself in the depths of the forest, finally losing sight of the stranger. Maybe I should turn back. The trees parted before me, and a magnificent view of a small forest lake struck my eyes. Hey! Remember this scene, guys? And then I noticed Slavia. She was skipping and fluttering about, letting her neckerchief loose and the skirt fly up in the air. This whole scene even more fantastic than my own presence in this camp. Slavia looked like a spirit of the forest, or perhaps a nymph. She looked so natural, more like an ancient goddess than a human being. I remembered all those theological theories, which I read some time ago. This reminded me of pantheism, the idea that God is in all that is, everything that we see around. While if it were not the aliens or a time warp but divine providence that brought me here. Let me get back in my chat room. Sadly, I am pretty sure that everyone has left me, but I will still enjoy the game because it is a good game. A fun game. Divine providence that brought me here. Indeed, Slavia mentioned that she loves nature, so it turns out that even she is an enigma, isn't she? Slavia went into the water. I was ashamed, but I just couldn't take my eyes off her. Silvery moonlight reflected off her wet skin, making Slavia look like an ancient Greek statue. The Venus de Milo, maybe? The scene was so fabulous that there was no room for carnal lust, only sublime admiration of true beauty. I was simply admiring the perfection of Slavia's form and forgetting everything else. Maybe this isn't hell, but heaven. A branch treacherously snapped under my foot. Slavia turned around, but there was no way to recognize me in the darkness of the night. Or at least so it seemed. She rapidly rushed out of the lake, put on her clothes in a hurry, and vanished from the side of the forest. I quietly went after her. Slavia was quietly trailing among the trees, choosing the easiest path and gracefully avoiding sheer trees, pits, and snags. It was a hard job to keep pace with her. Moreover, I definitely didn't want to be caught. Firstly, peeping is just no good, and secondly, in fact, it still remains to be seen what she was doing here. Although it somehow seemed to be innocent enough, it didn't seem to have anything to do with my presence in this world. It was just innocent. It was nothing worth spying on. At last we came out at the square. Slavia stopped and turned around to face me. Did you think I didn't notice you? I was a bit confused, but I put on a mask of visible calmness. How long ago? I'm not sure. Slavia came closer. 5 minutes ago, maybe. So even there at the lake? What lake are you talking about? Well, Slavia seemed to be sincerely surprised, so I simply couldn't figure out Whether she was pretending that nothing had happened or... Well, never mind. I made up my mind to behave like a gentleman, as gentlemanly as was possible in these circumstances, and said nothing. Alright. Unexpectedly agreed. Unexpectedly easily, she agreed. What a beautiful night. Slavia took a seat on the bench and looked up at the sky. I guess such nights are common here. Well, probably. Why so uncertain? I don't know. I just got lost in thought. Thinking about what? She stared at me like she was looking for something on my face, but then went back to stargazing. Now and then I fall into such a mood at night. During the day I'm wrapped up into work with no time to relax. Well, at night it's so quiet here. If it wasn't for the crickets and the night birds, one would feel like being face to face with the universe. For some reason I didn't think of Slavia as someone who would talk about such matters. As for me, it's even too quiet here. Is it? Yes, really. Anything wrong with that? Well, alright. She stood up quickly and fixed her skirt. It's time to go to bed. Good night. I watched her walk away. Our talk might have been about nothing, but it seems to me that it had some deep and secret meaning, which could appear only here, only next to Slavia. Seems like even in my situation, such moments of peace and serenity are absolutely necessary. They make me feel united with the universe. I'd even say vital, especially now. I'm not sure how much time I spent sitting there, but after a while I started to feel sleepy. For the first time today, I finally felt how tired I was. I felt so tired that I'm gonna fast forward just all my speech. Alright, back to my little cheat thing. Breakfast with Lenna. Breakfast with Xenia I need to do. Fine, wait a minute. I'm not sure why, but I accepted the invitation. Olga asked me to help her tonight. Sorry. Right, this is the guitar thing. Who cares? I better keep on looking for answers. That'll be fun when we do that. Look for answers, help Slavia. There we go. Always choose the lesser of two evils, they say. Well, of three in this case. So after this, I guess I have to clean with Oliana for a while, and then run away, Slavia in library, dance with Slavia. Okay. You got it, game. You freaking got it. Slavia wasn't evil at all, so my choice was obvious. Any rational being keeps his house clean, but I usually perceive house cleaning as somewhat akin to gym workouts. Yeah, it's good for you, but not my sort of thing at all. However, I liked the idea of painting benches or of helping two future geniuses or Russian or Soviet science even less. There were about a dozen pioneers at the square. Where did they all come from, I wonder? I approached Slavia. Hi there! Oh, hi, you've come to help? Well, not of my own free will, of course. I thought it over again. I see. Take this broom. Your area is right next to the monument. Frankly speaking, there was nothing to sweep there. It seems pretty clean to me, though some rubbish was still lying around. After sweeping for a while, I came back to Slavia, who was sitting on a bench and taking a break. What a nice day, eh? Yeah, though it's a bit too hot. She shaded her eyes with her hand and looked up at the sky. You're like a tireless worker of communist labor. Oh, come on, I just like to help others. That's good. And what about you? What about me? Well, it seems to me that you find community service a bit of a burden? Well, probably. Why is that? I don't really know. Seriously, she can't expect me to just unload all of my ideas concerning this point on her. She might drown in them, God forbid. Maybe you just don't like company? That's actually quite possible. There was some truth in Slavia's words. I suppose that she was good at reading other people's minds. Or at least at reading mine. Though, how can that be possible if even I find it hard to understand myself at times? What are you going to do with this session when the session is over? What do you mean? Well, are you going to enter college, or do you want to master a profession? Finds the high school typically had... Person finishing the high school typically had to choose between either getting a college, typically achieving a status of engineer, or going into a secondary vocational school, thus mastering a profession. Okay, I gotcha. I've already achieved grand mastery at all of my professions, watching anime and surfing the internet. Hold that thought. I need a drinky drink. There's nothing like water to get me better. I don't know yet. What about you? We have a small farm back home, so I want to help my parents there. It sounded pretty strange. Are there any private farms in the USSR where all the farming has to be collective? But I decided not to go into details. And what are your parents doing? My parents were not a good subject for discussion. It's not that my parents are not good, quite the opposite. They are kind-hearted people, but it's not the right time for such a discussion. My father works at the local council, and my mother is a teacher. That wasn't actually true, more like a half-truth. Cool! She really seemed to consider that as a cool thing. I guess so. The conversation had reached a dead end, so I was trying to take my eyes off Slavia and kept gazing under my feet, up in the sky or just looking around. You know, I'm pretty sure you'll also be fine. Slavia looked at me thoughtfully. Now what was that for? And what was that also about? Thanks, I mumbled. But what do you mean? I suppose that you happen to be too pessimistic at times. Isn't that way too, straightforward? Maybe. But you're gonna be alright. Gonna be alright. Maybe. After this conversation, I felt ill at ease. On the one hand, there was nothing special in her words. In general, almost any person in Slavia's shoes would come to a similar conclusion. Nevertheless, I felt, and not for the first time, like she could see right through me. So let's get to cleaning. Aha! She smiled and took the broom. I never thought that cleaning could bring such a deep pleasure. No, I wasn't upset because of this conversation. On the contrary, I was glad to hear that from her. For the first time ever, somebody was discussing my life without criticizing me, without giving me any stupid advice based on their own personal experience, and without intending to go through my head, and without making some far-reaching conclusions. I was just glad that somebody supported me. No, that's not quite right. I was just glad that Slavia supported me. You know what that noise is? It's the noise of going really fast. See? Told ya. Run away. The solution came out of thin air. While Olga was scolding Ulyana, I snuck to the exit. Thank goodness it was nearby. Slipping outside, I hesitated for a few moments and ran into Electronic. Looks like he was working till late at the club. Where's the fire? Fire? May's shuttle is leaving in 10 minutes. What? Hey, wait. Electronic's words hung in the air behind me. I ran off toward the square. It's definitely not the best place to hide. Indeed, in a state of stress or fatigue, I frequently start talking to myself. Well, not really talking, but rather mumbling under my breath. It helps me to concentrate and find the right solution quickly. Oh, where to next? Where should I go? The best place would be one with the least amount of people. Consequently, my way lies in the woods. Half a minute later, I was already relaxing, sitting on a stump near the forest trail. That was one hell of a getaway. I hope that will teach Ulyana to behave. Indeed, she's not a child anymore. Well, said but true, not a child anymore. Now, a thought crossed my mind. I might have sort of mishandled the whole situation. A fair share of that broken tableware is because of me. Moreover, one might mention that I didn't have to engage in that mess at the beginning. It got me thinking. How's the weather? Slavia stood right before me. How does she manage to sneak up unnoticed? Thank goodness it's not Olga. Fine. Those were the only words I managed to squeeze out of myself. I thought I'd find you here. Why? I'm not sure, it's just... She looked up at the sky. There are fewer people around here. Does Slavia really think that I have some sort of social phobia? On second thought, she actually has a good reason to think so. And what are you doing here? Looking for you. She smiled again, but this time her smile looked a bit different. A little friendlier, I guess. Me? Why? Can't you guess? I braced and prepared for a harsh lecture. I understand that you're guilty to a lesser degree than Oleana. Now the camp leader's assistant is defending me. I felt even more pathetic. Damn, get serious. We're not playing bad cop, good cop here. But if I grant that you aren't gonna help her, you can at least help me. Saying that, Slavia looked up at the sky yet again. I wonder what she's looking for up there. And what do I need to do? We have to reorganize the books in the library. It's way better than this disciplinary enslavement together with Oleana. And anyway, it was an offer I couldn't refuse. I'm all at your service, mademoiselle. What, mademoiselle? Or madam? She laughed. Then follow me, monsieur. Monsieur. In a couple of minutes we were in the library. All the way I kept looking around in fear of meeting Olga. It looks like Slavia didn't notice my anxiety. And still, it's quite odd that she hasn't scolded me. Well, if we are to continue our analogy, Slavia is definitely the good cop. When we were inside, gleaming sunlight streamed through the windows of the library, with a myriad of dust particles dancing in the beams. This is special library dust with that distinctive smell that you can never confuse with anything else. These microscopic pieces of the moribund collected works of the Marxism-Leninism classics. That's interesting. Does the dust near the fiction shelf smell similar to the dust near the books on physics and chemistry? You start with those rows. Slavia pointed at the bookshelf near Lenin's sculpted head. Okay, but what exactly do I have to do? Just remove the books from the shelves and put them on the floor. We'll dust them and then we'll put them back. But looking at all this dust, reading is hardly the pioneer's favorite activity. Any idea where Xenia might be? Don't know. She probably went somewhere. Strange. It appears that there are just two places in the world where one can meet Xenia. The library and the canteen. I got into gear. I guess I've never handled so many books at one time in my life. Anyway, I'm much more used to reading from a computer screen or a tablet. First, there is no need to pay for electronic books, and secondly, you cannot find everything in printed form. How's it going? Asked Slavia, standing behind the bookshelves. It's okay. It's going little by little. Have you read anything about that? About what? Well, about communism. Nah, I'm kind of more into historical books. And adventures. Me too. Well, historical literatures weren't exactly my favorite, but the class struggle under socialism was definitely no match for it. Was definitely no match for it, that said. Hey, don't hold a grudge against the Oleana. I don't. Indeed, I felt that my head ego mostly recovered from the incident at the canteen and the incident with the zombie Oleanas. Besides, I managed to cleanse myself of the lunch leftovers in a forest lake. It's not like she's doing all that out of spite. Out of spite or not, one should think through one's own actions. Whatever. I kept moving around dozens of books written by people totally unknown to me. I'm gonna forget who they are in a minute, and I'll never get to know what they were writing about. That is a doom of many writers, to become a forsaken set of letters in a hardcover on a bookshelf in the library of a non-existent pioneer's camp's reality. Have you finished? Yeah, I think so. Me too. Okay, let's do it this way. I'll wipe them down and you put them back on the shelves. But if I don't remember what order... But I don't remember... That doesn't look right for some reason. I don't know. Remember? They were placed in place. It's okay. Nobody reads them anyway. It looks like she has a smile for every occasion. A couple of times I've noticed slight differences, shades of emotions in that smile. Joy, happiness, sadness. But these shades were so evanescent that I wasn't really sure that I'm not imagining things. This time her smile looked a little flirty. Yeah, probably. At least I wouldn't be reading this stuff. Slavia was wiping the covers with a damp cloth, and I was putting the books back on the shelf. We were a good team. Our job was almost done. Why didn't you take anything from the upper shelves? Upper shelves? I looked up. Sorry, I hadn't noticed them. It's all right. Wait a moment. I'll bring the chair. Even with my rather considerable structure, I wouldn't be able to get them. I stood on the chair and proceeded to remove the books from the shelves and pass them to Slavia. After a while, there were only about a dozen books left at the farthest end of the shelf. It looked to me like it wouldn't be hard to reach that far. I've always been the type to take a larger bite rather than biting them twice. And then taking that bite without moving the chair under me became a fatal error. I was now on top of Slavia, and she was about ready to kiss me. Like this. Mwah! Opening my eyes, I found myself on top of Slavia. Are you alive? I got the fright of my life. Even if I'm only 17 now, falling off a chair onto a girl is something else. I'm fine. Her face was only an inch away from mine. Anything broken? I don't think so. You'd make a rather bad stuntman. She laughed. You bet. I looked into her eyes. Just looked. I wasn't sure what I should say, and Slavia either hesitated to or just let me take the lead. At this rate, something might happen. Her lips were so close to mine, a natural desire started to awaken in my body. But was it right? I had the urge to stand up, but was unable to do so. Slavia was just lying in silence and looking at me straight in the eyes. All of a sudden, I noticed the bell ringing on the edge of my hearing. It's dinner time! Yeah, shall we go? Or shall we lie here some more? She smiled again, and this time her smile seemed foxy to me, as if she was hinting at something. Let's go. I didn't move an inch. Well, if we're going to go, you need to get up first. Obviously. I felt like some invisible force was holding me in place. Slavia seemed to recognize that and carefully slipped out from under me. Are you going to stay there? She laughed. At that point, I finally came to my senses and stood up. I'm sorry. That's okay. But we haven't finished it all. We'll have to clean up the rest later. Yeah, sure. I stayed silent all the way to the canteen. Slavia rambled on about her life in the camp, but given that it was indeed a monologue, I wasn't paying much attention. Coming to the canteen, I saw Olga on the porch. Don't you have some explaining to do, young man? Now I remember what it was that I'd forgotten. Nope. How was your cleaning duty? Good enough. That's not what Ilyana told me. That was all her fault. And what did I tell you? I ordered you to clean it up together. And what were you doing? I didn't know what to say, as deep down as I knew she was right. Don't blame him. Semyon was helping me at the library. Oh, really? Yeah. Well, that's all great and stuff, but to cut a long story short, you won't get dinner tonight. How is that? Why? I protested. However, my protest looked more like a demand for a refill at the prison mess hall. Bold and daring, but still stupid and counterproductive. Hopefully that will teach you a lesson. At that instant, Olga looked more like an ancient Roman legionnaire, a commander, than a tiny pioneer camp leader. I had no idea how to oppose her. Forgive him, and hold me responsible. The camp leader took her time to think it over. All right, if you say so. Thanks. I kind of feel bad now. Is Slavia taking my place or something? Well, I'm gonna join the girls, we had a prior arrangement. Take care. She smiled and waved her goodbyes. Seriously, where would I be without her? There were no free places to sit near Slavia, and besides, I haven't been introduced to her friends. It seems that I will have to share a dinner table with Electronic and Shurik. Oh my god, we're so fast! Why would you come to the dance party if you'd rather sit tightly in the corner? Okay, but just a little bit. That's the spirit. She reached out her hand to me. We were standing in the middle of the dancing crowd. Well, in fact, it was me who was standing. Slavia was warming up, swaying to the beat. I was already blaming myself for agreeing to this uncomfortable proposal. Okay, here I am on the road again. And now what? I examined the dancing pioneers around me. Nope, I am not prepared for this. The music stopped abruptly. abruptly. It did. It stopped abruptly. See, it's stopped now. We're gonna save the game. We're gonna get the angry Elisa out of here. And there we go. We're doing good so far. Some people were still dancing under the momentum, but a majority stopped. Don't panic! The leader went to the DJ's panel and adjusted something there. Next song, Ladies Invite Gentlemen. I looked at Slavia. She stretched her hand out to me with a smile. You shouldn't refuse a girl. There we go, look at this. Isn't that cute? We danced for a few minutes. Her chest heaved faster and her face blushed more and more. Slavia stared into my eyes. I tried to look away at the dancing pioneers, or at my feet, or somewhere else. It was a strange feeling. My whole body shuddered from time to time. But it was a pleasant shudder, without any hint of uneasiness or shame. My mind became miraculously calm. I realized that I didn't want to let this girl go, and I am ready to dance with her forever. Hopping next to us, Olyana stopped for a moment and smirked. Maybe I was seeing things, but I couldn't get rid of the thought that insolent girl was trying to hint at something. I made a frightening face, but she was already gone. Is something wrong? Slavia asked quietly. Everything's fine. I mean, everything's great. I haven't started stammering yet, but I was about to. You're so tense. A little, I said honestly. Boys don't like to dance. Guess so. She didn't say anything, just smiled. The song eventually finished. I was still holding Slavia, but she easily slipped out of my grasp. Thank you for the dance. I should thank you. I just stood and stared at her for some time. The next track started playing. One more? No, I think I'll rest a little. I tried to leave the square as soon as possible. I don't remember how I ended up at the beach. Why did I run away? It looked exactly like running away. The dance was nice and Slavia was pleased. But something wasn't right. I felt restless just thinking about the ball. Let's see. Dance with Sylvia. So I think we're good. I think we're on the right track, guys. Something wasn't right. Yeah, maybe I just lost my grasp on the situation and got emotional. That happens rarely. I always try to behave and calmly assess the situation. But did I manage it this time? I sat on the sand and looked at the river. The full moon was hanging far above the water. Memories overwhelmed me. I am 6 years old. Me and my father are fishing. I cast my fishing rod clumsily and wait. 1 minute, 2, 10. No fish bite. Meanwhile, my father gets one after another. How do you do that? He explains, but now I don't remember all the details. Excuse me. I am 9 years old. A dark, incomplete building near our country house full of ghosts, vampires, or maybe just hobos. An unstable wooden ladder to the second floor hanging above the abyss. A hole to the basement. I'm scared, but I still climb down and up and down this ladder every day. A brick falls on my foot and I lose a toenail. Ugh. I am 12 years old. My first victory in a video game tournament. We play a console fighting game. An imaginary audience applauds my astonishing victory. Excuse me. Whew. I am 15 years old. I score several wonderful goals with my heel, and a wonderful shot from 30 meters away right into the upper corner. I am 17 years old. My first love, transient image, a shadow slipping away and vanishing in the city haze. I can't catch her among the buildings and corners. The following memories became more clear, but far less vivid. The images of my childhood and youth that I saw were unclear. They lacked details, and I couldn't quite see the faces of people. Sometimes they just looked a lot like a canvas, covered with spilled paint. But the feelings of those hazy images were so much warmer than those of my more recent memories. Oh, what do you know? There you are. Whoa. Slavia leaned over me. I didn't get a fright. Why did you leave so soon? Just felt like being alone for a bit. It was like I hid in a shell. There was no outer world for me, and I responded the same way to all stimuli. I was like the three monkeys. Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. Isn't it just beautiful here? Slavia looked at the river. Yeah, it is. How about one more dance? No thanks, I'm fine. Deep inside I knew that I shouldn't be so sharp with Slavia. But I was like a puppet on the string, forced to say things that I would never have said under other circumstances. What are you thinking about? Nothing. You can't think about nothing. She pouted her lips, but smiled right after that, letting me know that she wasn't offended. You're always thinking about something, even if you don't notice it. Maybe. So what are you thinking about now? About owls. I said the first thing that came to my mind. Why owls? She laughed. Ha 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 ha. I don't know. Have you ever seen any owls? Of course I have. What a silly question. Do you like them? They're just a bird like any other. A night bird, Slavia specified. Yes, a night bird. A night bird. I imagined an owl, a little feathered buck with huge blinking eyes. Are you a night owl? What? You know, there are daylarks and night owls. Some like to get up early and some like to sleep in. Her words brought me back to reality. I pictured my dusty room full of junk, a mountain of unwashed plates on the table, guitar rotting in the corner, necktie hanging from the lamp, and the pinnacle of all of this, the heap of dirty socks under the bed. I was indeed a night owl. Night was my time. But somehow I was managing to get up early in this camp. I know. So what are you? A night owl, I guess. I like to sleep, and I am a daylark. The earlier you get up, the more you can do during the day. There is really nothing urgent for me to do, so I don't see any difference between night and day. It's just quieter and calmer during the night. Slavia, don't you have any problems at all in your life? What do you mean? She wondered. You are always so joyful, so ready to help, so eager to start doing something. It is like nothing can upset you. Why? She laughed. I am just an ordinary person. That's right. Just an ordinary person in an ordinary place. I sometimes think that I am the strange one here. Don't you like the camp? I don't mean only the camp. In the previous, I stumbled. I shouldn't speak so frankly even with her. At home, too. I think that I'm not like the others. It's not where I belong. Oh, stop that. It's silly to think so. I was closing myself off from the rest of the world just a moment ago, and now I was opening my heart to this girl. What's happening to me? No, really, you wouldn't pay any attention to me under any other circumstances. I am so different from you. I am lazy, unsociable, and have no outstanding talents. I would be the last person you would notice in the crowd of a large city. Though, for me, even going outside is rare. Semyon, you scare me. She looked at me seriously. I got embarrassed, but didn't avert my eyes. Am I wrong? Of course. You are you. There is no other person like you. You should just have some self-esteem and patience, and you can do anything. Hang on. Alright, we're good, guys. No doubt about it. I looked at the sky. If only everything could be as simple as you say. It's not difficult at all. Let's start right now. Start what? Changing. Just like that? How do you imagine we can do that? We should do something useful. For instance? Well, she thought for a moment. Let's clean up the square. The ball has already finished. Just the two of us? Would we be able to do all the work? There isn't that much to do. The first step is the most important. I can't argue with her on that point. But taking down the lighting from the trees in the dark, moving heavy audio equipment, and sweeping. None of that was on my to-do list, but I didn't know exactly. But I didn't know how to nicely refuse her. Maybe we can do it tomorrow? With everyone? Why put it off until tomorrow? Wouldn't it be wonderful to stand in a clean square during the lineup? First of all, I don't even like lineups in general. Hey, I understand you. But this is too much. Slavia thought for a moment. Yes, looks like you're right. Even I can be right sometimes, and she can be wrong. Then, she stretched and yawned. Let's just sleep on it then. A nice idea, but I wanted to talk more. Isn't it too early? No, Slavia objected critically. You'll sleep all day tomorrow then. Tell me a bedtime story then. I blurted out the first thing that came to mind. I know only those I read in books. You must know them too. Maybe I do. What a failure. Shall we go? She stretched out her hand to me. I'll stay here for a while longer. I need some fresh air. You can go. Good night. Good night. Slavia ran away. I wanted to enjoy my total defeat first. I couldn't stand being with her even a minute longer than the brightest idea. Bedtime stories? What in the world? That's how the things are. You tried to have a casual chat with the girl and it turns into a complete flop. I stared into the night sky. The stars, those small lights of distant suns, blinking perkily as if laughing at me. I turned over and buried my face into the sand. After a moment, I realized that was another one of my bright ideas, about on par with asking for a bedtime story. I stood up, spitting grit, and went to the leader's cabin. Woo! Woo! My back itches all the way. Not only my back, my whole body. No wonder, I haven't had a bath for several days. Well, it is really hot here during the daytime, so you sweat like a pig. I should find some soap and a towel. I can find everything in Olga's cabin. After a couple of minutes, I went again at the square with my bag of bathing accessories. I have to find the bathhouse now. It was easy. The building was just on the edge of the forest. It really is the best place for a bathhouse. I think there was no Blair Witch inside, but the lights were still on. And whose bright idea is it to have a bath at midnight? I muttered below my breath. There is only one problem. Is it a boy or a girl? In the first case, we could just have a bath together without any worries. I am not fond of public baths, but I can cope with them at this time. In the second case, I would have to wait or to scratch myself the whole night through. Who knows how long I'd have to wait? I peeped through into the window, but I couldn't see anything because of the steam. Suddenly, Slavia appeared right before me as if from a thick fog. Naturally, she was naked, just like anyone else in the bath would be. Dumbstruck, I stared at her. I had never seen a naked girl so close, even through glass. My organ reacted as it should. Nerve impulses traveled from my eyes down my body. It seemed like I couldn't leave my observation point no matter what, even if a war broke out. But Slavia didn't notice me. She was washing herself leisurely, rinsing her head with a sponge and pouring water from that bucket on herself. Then she started to wash her hair. I can't imagine how much time it needs. She needs to wash it completely, but minutes flew like seconds. That's how immersed I was in the sight. Finally, she finished washing, sighed with satisfaction, and walked to the door. I managed to come to my senses just at that moment. She went into the changing room, and I left to hide in the nearby bushes. The best thing to do was not to tempt fate and leave, but I realized that too late. Slavia appeared on the porch just after a moment, stood there for a while, enjoying the night breeze, and walked in the direction of my hideout. I had a dozen excuses in my mind, but she went by without even looking at the bushes I was hiding in. Looks like I'm lucky. I cautiously got out and went to Olga's cabin, completely forgetting my intention to have a bath. Good job, me. I was totally exhausted and just wanted to fall into bed and doze off. My eyes couldn't wait and were closing from time to time. It was dangerous to even blink. I still don't know the camp well enough to walk there with my eyes closed. Suddenly, Slavia appeared before me. Are you going to sleep? Well, yes. Right this moment, I remembered the sight in the bathhouse and averted my eyes shyly. And you? I'm cleaning up. She took the broom out from behind her back. Slavia with a broom in the empty square at night looks like a witch from a children's fairy tale. I was stretching, guys. It's fine. Don't worry. What? Nothing. Is it really a good idea to clean the square after a bath? And how do you know that I had a bath? Whoops. I physically felt the fear taking over my body, cold sweat starting to run down my back. My thoughts froze, so I couldn't think of any excuses. Slavia still stared at me in surprise. It looked like my life depends on this answer. Well, your hair is wet. Oh, you're right. I wanted the earth to swallow me up, so I would vanish from this world, just as suddenly and irreversibly as I had vanished from mine. Are you going to have a bath too? Me? Well... Slavia looked at the bag in my hand. Yes, I am. So, good night. I turned around and darted backward toward the bathhouse. What a disaster. How shameful. I walked slowly, trying to curse myself for all that happened. I shouldn't have peeped in the first place. But if I peep anyway, then I must pay more attention and think of an excuse beforehand. Oh. It didn't take much time to wash myself. It looked like the night made its own ball, or possibly a concert. The stars were the lights, the birds and insects were an orchestra. An owl hooting somewhere was its director. The sound of wind in the trees was the applause of the audience. The night looked much more beautiful when you stand in the forest, clean and fresh. Suddenly, I heard a noise in the bushes nearby. I shivered, but I didn't get very scared. It may be a squirrel or another animal. Nevertheless, I should check it out. I went to the bushes, but didn't find anything or anyone suspicious. It just seemed, with a clean body and a calm spirit, I went to the leader's cabin. Olga was already asleep. I went to the bed without taking my clothes off and covered myself with a blanket. I couldn't fall asleep for a long time, remembering naked Slavia, whose image could not be eclipsed by thoughts about finding answers. Day number 4. So let me do this Whoa. The ringing seemed to be coming from the depths of my consciousness. Olga's house. Look for Shurik at Olga's house. Search with Slavia. But after I came to my senses, I realized that this was cause of this ringing is my alarm clock. Strange, where did it come from? Why is it standing near my bed? It was 7:30, according to the clock. Olga had already left, and there was nobody to force me to go to the lineup. Thus I can sleep a bit more. I closed my eyes, but it seemed like my consciousness had already had its coffee, and was ready for a long, productive day. I need to get up. I should plan out my day out, after all. I need to at least find out something today. But still, nothing came to my head. Fine, I need to wake up completely and wash myself. On my way to the washstands, I met Xenia. What got you up so early? Anything wrong with being up early? She looked at me as if I had insulted her. No, nothing, just curious. None of your business. Gosh, Xenia isn't very sympathetic, even when she's in a good mood. But today she looked furious. The cold water perked me up. The fog in my head dissipated and my thoughts started arranging themselves. Curiously, I had started to worry about finding a good place in the canteen more than about finding answers. I brushed my teeth and was going to leave when a quiet sound wafted past my ears. Probably a squirrel or some other animal. I heard another sound, this time a bit farther. I walked 10 meters along the path searching for the source. Nobody, just the morning forest. I returned to the washstands and saw Miku, or Masha, who was looking for something in the grass. Not noticing me, she smiled and jumped to me. Oh, hello. Good morning. I accidentally scattered my tooth powder, just trying to gather it back up. The dewgrass didn't seem to be helping matters. Are you sure that's a good idea? Well, why? What else can I do? I don't have any more. It was the last I had. She pouted like a child who had just had her favorite toy taken from her. Here, I'll give you mine. I dug into my bag. No tooth powder there. Strange, didn't I just put it there? I walked away for a minute and now it's gone. Listen, it looks like I have forgotten it. I didn't want to tell her that I had just gone missing. Oh, Chrome has stopped. Are things frozen? No, just Chrome has stopped. Knowing that the sensitivity of this girl, it was safe to assume that vanishing household goods would impress her so much that her brain would reset itself in order to avoid overheating. Well, I'll be off. Yeah, cheers. Visit me in the music club. I'm still there. I'm still alone there, but Miku's voice faded in the freshness of the summer morning far behind me. Getting back to the leader's cabin, I took my cell phone and looked at the battery meter. Enough power for a day, maybe even less. Of course it won't help me much in here, but still. Finding a charger in the 80s would mean inventing it. I was going to head to breakfast when somebody knocked on the door. It was Slavia. Alright guys, I think I'm going to end it right here. We're going to continue with Slavia's thing. We're going to actually sally forth, we'll get forward, we'll do more stuff. And tomorrow we will hopefully finish Slavia's ending. I'm gonna try. But I'm a little bit out of breath. I need a good break from reading right now. For those